Hello students, this is Faizan Mirza. We are discussing the principles of anatomy and physiology chapter of brain and cranial nerve. We have already covered brain to an extent in the as far as the cerebrum is concerned and the blood flow is concerned, and the spinal meninges, the brain, the blood flow, and how the blood-brain barrier and CSF circulate in the body. So we won't be doing that again. Yeah, the brain stem. So let's start with brain stem. It is having three parts: medulla oblongata, pons, and the midbrain. The medulla oblongata is of continuous with the superior aspect of the spinal cord and contains portion for both motor and sensory areas. And the medulla oblongata is having these many parts. You can see these here that it is starting just above your spinal cord, and it is there is a region called as decussation of pyramids where the fibers from the right side of the brain ends up in the left part of the body, and the left part of the body fiber, the left part of the fibers from coming from the left side of the brain, they just roll over and go to the right part of the body. So you might have heard that the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body, and the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. That basically is because of decussation of pyramid. For example, if you use a right hand for writing, it means you're the impulses that are being activated is because of the ones which are involved, and this is the left side of the brain that is controlling these actions. A medulla oblongata is having cranial nerves, the vestibulocochlear and hypoglossal structural regions are pyramid, inferior olivary nucleus. Functional regions include the region for heart rate, respiratory rate, vasoconstriction, swallowing, coughing, hiccuping, sneezing. These are you can see the functional parts of the functions of medulla oblongata are all subconscious. You can't control your heart rate or respiratory rate or vasoconstriction, coughing, vomiting, etc. on your free will. So this is done by medulla oblongata. Pons is the located superior to the medulla oblongata. It links parts of the brain with the one another by the way of tracts. In this diagram, you can just see where the cerebrum and diencephalon, hypothalamus, thalamus are mentioned. Come to brain stem. This brain stem, this region is your midbrain, and this circular part here is the pons. Below it, this is the medulla oblongata, and then the spinal cord continues. The cerebellum is at the back of the brain, the posterior region. Bones have cranial nerves, trigeminal, abducens, facial, vestibular branch of the vestibulocochlear nerve. Functional regions include the nerve impulses that are related to voluntary skeletal muscle movement from cerebrum to cerebellum. There is a pneumotaxic and apneustic area that control respiratory rate. So it's present in your bones. The midbrain is located superior to medulla oblongata, extend from the bones to the diencephalon, which cranial nerve comes is passed from here, basically oculomotor and a trochlear nerve. Then structural regions include cerebral peduncles, corpora quadrigemina, substantia nigra, red nuclei, and medial lemniscus. The functional regions include they transmit information and impulses from the cerebrum to the cerebellum and spinal cord, and send sensory information to the spinal cord and to the thalamus, and regulate auditory and visual reflexes. For example, if somebody calls your name or you see a movement that catches your eye, you just move your head towards that, either someone calling your name or either the vision that just crossed the corner of your eye. That's because the midbrain is sending the signal. You can see the midbrain here, posterior to anterior. There are two mounts called as the superior colliculi. Then superior colliculi, this part is the tectum here. Then beneath it, you can see the red nuclei, and there is a medial geniculate nuclei here. Substantia nigra is present here as well, and the oculomotor nerve you can see passes from here. Cerebral peduncle, this is one cerebral peduncle here. This is the medial lemniscus that's present here. Reticular formation is mentioned, is shown to you here as well. Reticular formation helps you regulate muscle tone, alerts the cortex from incoming signals, and is responsible for maintaining consciousness awakening from sleep. So your reticular formation is the part of the brain that sends signals of awakening. For example, when your alarm starts to ring at any time when you are sleeping and you set the alarm at a certain time. So that basically the ringing of the alarm or the buzzing sound, it alerts the reticular formation, and the reticular formation then starts sending signal to various parts of the brain. The moment you wake up, your brain doesn't wake up 100%. Although you wake up and you start doing activities, this is because gradually the signals are spreading throughout the brain. And there are times when you are like awake from your sleep and you keep on doing a lot of actions, but then later on during the day you can recall that although you were capable of doing a lot of actions when you woke up, but you were not completely alert, because alertness comes gradually. So reticular formation alerts the brain, and alerts is gradually. So it's like the bulbs getting switched on and turned on one after the other, and once they all glow up, so you start to interpret and you become alert to the surroundings. You can see the brainstem, medulla oblongata, pons, midbrain here. This is the summary. Cerebellum occupies the inferior part of your cranial cavity. It is having two hemispheres. The two hemispheres are held together by a vermis. There's a posterior lobe and an anterior lobe. Cerebellum is for a coordination of skeletal muscle contraction and maintenance of the normal muscle tone and posture and balance. It is composed. Then we come to diencephalon. It includes your thalamus, hypothalamus, and epithalamus. You can see this is the thalamus, this is the hypothalamus, and then there's an epithalamus as well, which includes the pineal gland. And the thalamus is located superior to the midbrain, contain nuclei that serve as relay stations. So thalamus is actually a relay station. Almost all nerve impulses, except for a very few, they pass through the thalamus. So that's except the smell. Every impulse other than smell, it passes through the relay station of thalamus when it's going to the cerebral cortex. So hypothalamus is found inferior to the thalamus. It is having four major regions that control body activities and regulate homeostasis. There's a mammillary region, a tuberal region, a supraoptic region, a preoptic region, and they are shaded of different colors. So to show to you that which part actually is representing which region. Epithalamus lies superior and posterior to the thalamus and contain pineal gland and secrete melatonin and habenular nuclei which are involved in olfaction. Melatonin is the chemical that helps in sleeping. It helps in body relaxation as well. Circumventricular organs, CVOs or diencephalon are the parts of diencephalon that can monitor chemical changes in the blood because they do not have the blood-brain barrier. So circumventricular organ is that part which doesn't have the blood-brain barrier, and the actual chemical changes in the blood can be monitored here. They include a part of hypothalamus, pineal gland, and the pituitary gland. So you know that hypothalamus, it monitors for your osmotic pressure of the blood or how much temperature is there, etc. So why? Because it is in direct contact with blood there. Cerebrum I already discussed with the detail in one of the other talks, how there are colossums, how there is the lobes, and the lobes. The details of lobe was not covered there. So the lobes on cerebrum are divided into five actually. There's a frontal lobe, a parietal lobe, a temporal lobe, an occipital lobe. These four are on the surface, and then there's a lobe called insula, which is in the center, towards the center. So you can't really see insula on the surface. So this is the you can see that this is the your frontal lobe. Then these are the parietal lobes. These are this is the occipital lobe, and on the side there's a temporal lobe, and the insula is in the center. There are tracks already discussed in one of the other talks. The cerebral cortex is the upper layer here, which integrates most incoming information and outgoing signals. This is where you solve all your problems. This is the seat of intelligence. This is what actually helps you in taking decisions and everything. So commissural projection fire tracks can be seen here. We discussed that how they are connecting the different parts of the cerebral hemisphere together. There are commissural tracks here. Corpus callosum can be seen. This is corpus callosum. There's an anterior commissure here. Association tracts can be found here. Septum pellucidum is found here. Mammillary body. This is the mammillary body. This was a mid-sagittal section anterior to posterior. The basal nuclei of cerebrum is having paired masses of gray matter in the cerebral hemisphere. The limbic system, as I already discussed in the other talk, how the limbic system is about dealing with emotions, how it deals with emotions. Association areas, and these have been discussed with you in the class in previously. So here you can see the locations of the association areas and the locations of the motor areas. These are the sensory areas. So these areas are numbered. So for example, the area 44 and 45, these are the Broca's areas of speech. So they actually help you in speaking. So all the spoken information is from here. And this is the Wernicke's area 39 and 40. This is for auditory information. Association areas, and again, hemispheres are lateralized. So right hemisphere and left hemisphere functions, they are a bit different. And you can see if your right hemisphere, it's about symmetry signals and controls muscles on the left side of the body, as I discussed in the acquisition of pyramids. If you are a right hemisphere dominant person, then you will have musical and artistic awareness. space and pattern perception as well. Recognition of face and emotional content of facial expression comes very naturally to you. This generate emotional content of the language. You can recognize the mental images and compare spatial relationship. You can identify and discriminate among different odors very easily. And patients with the damage to their parts, their function, these functions are affected. If your left hemisphere is more dominant, then you have more control of muscle on the right side of the body. Because this part of your brain is involved in reasoning. It's involved in the ability to use understand sign language, spoken and written language. So language interpretation comes from the left side. And the thing is that the hemispheric lateralization can be seen, and both hemispheres are working in your body. One might be more dominant than the other, so this actually affects your personality traits as well. Brain waves when using an EEG can be of four different type: alpha, beta, theta, delta. You can see how the wave frequency changes per second. These are waves, and these are even of lower frequency waves. They have a higher frequency, they are lower frequency, they are even lower, and these are very can say spread out waves. Cranial nerves, these include olfactory nerve 1, olfactory nerve 2, oculomotor is 3, cochlear nerve is 4, trigeminal 5, abducens is 6, facial is 7, vestibulocochlear is 7, vestibulocochlear is 8, and then you have glossopharyngeal 9, vagus 10, accessory 11, and hypoglossal 12. So the mnemonic is given to you here. So remember how these nerves are involved in this perception. So the details here, how these oculomotor nerves and the each nerve here, you need to remember the name of the nerve and the number by which we denote it. The numbers are written in Roman numerals, so this is how we denote a particular nerve. Development of nervous system and aging effect is not included in our course. So that pretty much is it for now. Thank you so much.